The turkey was perfectly golden, the table settings immaculate, and the tension in my sister Amanda's dining room was thick enough to cut with the sterling silver knives she'd inherited from our grandmother. Every Thanksgiving, the Mitchell family gathered to celebrate their successes and, more pointedly, highlight my apparent failures. So, Sarah, my brother Michael adjusted his expensive tie, fresh from his promotion to regional director at Apex Innovations, still pushing papers in HR? I took a small sip of wine, hiding my smile. If he only knew that his recent promotion had crossed my desk for approval last week. Still at Apex, yes. You know, Amanda chimed in, arranging her place cards, making sure I was seated at the far end of the table as usual. Michael could probably help you move up. 20 years at the same company and still in middle management. It's a bit, well, pathetic, our youngest sister Patricia finished, not looking up from her phone. God, Sarah, even my intern makes more than you probably do. Our mother sighed dramatically, a gesture perfected over years of expressing disappointment in her eldest daughter. I just don't understand, Sarah. Your siblings have such drive, such ambition. Michael's running entire regions, Amanda's interior design business is thriving, and Patricia's already an associate partner at her law firm. And you're still just processing paperwork. If they'd bothered to look closer at those papers I processed, they might have noticed they all bore the signature of Apex's mysterious Sam Mitchell. The same CEO who'd turned a failing tech company into a global powerhouse over the past 2 decades, all while maintaining complete anonymity. Speaking of work, Michael puffed up importantly, did you hear about the major restructuring coming? My inside sources say the CEO is finally going to reveal themselves at next month's global conference. Probably some Silicon Valley genius who's been working behind the scenes. I hid another smile. The reveal was actually scheduled for today, right about? The doorbell rang. That must be James. Amanda hurried to the door. Michael's new VP is joining us. Harvard Business School, family money, exactly the kind of person you should be networking with, Sarah. The front door opened and a familiar voice called out, Mom. I brought that wine you love from the vineyard in Tuscany. The room froze. Every head turned from James, my son, Harvard Business School graduate, and newly appointed VP at Apex, to me, their supposedly underachieving relative. Did he just call you Mom? Patricia's phone slipped from her perfectly manicured fingers. James strode in, looking every bit the executive in his tailored suit. Hey everyone. Sorry if I'm late. The board meeting with the regional directors ran long. He shot Michael a pointed look. Some of the presentations needed significant revision. Board meeting. Michael stammered. But you're just a VP. Actually, James smiled, setting down the wine bottle. That was just a cover while we finalized the restructuring. As of this morning, I'm the new COO of Apex Innovations. He walked over and kissed my cheek. Though of course that's still subject to the CEO's approval. Right, Mom? The silence that followed was 2 decades in the making. The crystal wine glass in Amanda's hand trembled slightly as she struggled to process what was happening. My mother had collapsed into her designer armchair, her carefully maintained composure cracking like her expensive French manicure. This is some kind of joke, Michael finally managed, his face cycling through various shades of red. Sarah's just a low-level Chief Executive Officer, James corrected, pulling out his phone to display the company's internal announcement that would go live in exactly 3 minutes. Mom founded Apex Innovations 20 years ago. Built it from the ground up while maintaining complete anonymity. Pretty brilliant, actually. Patricia's legal training kicked in as she frantically opened her laptop. But all company documents list the CEO as S.M. Mitchell. Sarah Margaret Mitchell, I said quietly, enjoying how they flinched at my full name. Though most of the board just knows me as Sam, the CEO who turned down every public appearance and magazine cover to focus on actually running the company. Michael's hands gripped his chair. But I'm regional director. I've never even met the CEO. Actually you have, James grinned, pulling up a video on his phone. Remember last month's performance review? When you complained to HR about having to present to, and I quote, some middle management nobody? The color drained from Michael's face as the video showed him, arrogant and dismissive, presenting his mediocre regional strategy to me, his CO's sister whom he just called a paper pusher. That presentation, by the way, I added, is why your promotion includes a transfer to our new office in Alaska. The board, meaning me, felt you needed some hands-on experience in actually building something from the ground up. Amanda, ever the social climber, attempted damage control. Sarah darling, we had no idea. All these years we thought. You thought exactly what I wanted you to think, I cut her off. While you were all busy climbing social ladders and bragging about job titles, I was building a global corporation. Every promotion, every contract, every major decision crossed my desk, including your interior design firm's overpriced contracts, which are currently under review. The timer on James's phone chimed softly. Ah, there it is, he said, turning his phone to show them the company-wide announcement appearing on Apex's internal network. S.M. Mitchell, CEO of Apex Innovations, reveals identity after 20 years of revolutionary leadership. The attached photo, my official portrait as CEO, caused my mother to nearly faint. But the vineyard in Tuscany? Patricia stammered, staring at the wine bottle James had brought. One of our smaller investments, I smiled. Along with the building your law firm leases, the tech startup Michael's been trying to partner with, and about 60% of Amanda's client portfolio. The doorbell rang again. That'll be the car, James checked his watch. We have that board meeting in Tokyo tomorrow morning. Private jets waiting. Tokyo, my mother whispered. Global corporation, remember? I stood up, smoothing my simple but exquisitely tailored dress, the kind that only the ultra-wealthy know how to spot. Though before we leave, I should mention the other announcements going live right now. The notifications started hitting their phones simultaneously, company-wide emails, press releases, and financial alerts that made their eyes widen with each passing second. Effective immediately, Michael read aloud, his voice cracking. All nepotism-based appointments at Apex Innovations will undergo comprehensive review. Performance metrics will determine continued employment. Patricia, her legal training kicking in, scrolled frantically through the documents. Regional restructuring, merit-based promotions only. Alaska division under direct CEO oversight. She looked up at Michael with something approaching pity. The board unanimously approved these changes this morning, James explained, casually checking his Patek Philippe watch, a birthday gift from me that cost more than Michael's annual salary. Though technically Mom's controlling shares made it unanimous by default. Amanda, still trying to salvage the situation, forced a laugh. Surely family is exempt from these reviews? I mean, the interior design contracts are being audited, I finished for her. Along with every other sweetheart deal and inflated invoice you've submitted over the years. Did you really think nobody would notice the $50,000 consultation fee for choosing office paint colors? My mother finally found her voice. Sarah, this is family. You can't just. Family. I raised an eyebrow. Like when you all boycotted James's college graduation because working in HR made me embarrassing to be seen with. Or when you seated us at the children's table at last Christmas because my lack of ambition might influence the cousins. James pulled up another document on his phone. Speaking of influence, here's an interesting analysis of how much company resources have been misused for personal gain by certain family members in the past 5 years alone. Michael's face went from red to pale as he saw the numbers. Those expenses were approved by HR. By me, I corrected him. Every receipt, every request, every abuse of company resources, all documented and saved. I wanted to see how far you'd go when you thought nobody was watching. Patricia's legal mind was already calculating the implications. The SEC would be very interested in this data. I agreed. Unless, of course, everyone agrees to the new arrangement. What arrangement? Amanda asked weakly. I nodded to James, who distributed tablets containing individual contracts. You each have a choice. Option 1, resign immediately, return all misappropriated funds, and sign ironclad NDAs about your involvement with Apex. They stared at the 7-figure repayment amounts listed. Option 2, I continued, accept immediate demotion to entry-level positions. No special treatment, no shortcuts, no family privileges. Earn your way up if you can. Entry level. Michael sputtered. I have an MBA. So do thousands of our employees who actually earned their positions, James replied. Though in your case, We found some interesting discrepancies in your academic records that Harvard's board might want to review. The doorbell rang again, this time more insistently. That's definitely the car now. James checked his watch again. The Tokyo board is waiting, Mom. And the press will be announcing your identity in about 3 minutes. My mother stood up, clutching her pearls. Sarah, please. We can discuss this as a family. We are discussing it as a family, I replied calmly. I'm offering you all a chance to learn what I've known for 20 years, that real success comes from actual work, not just a famous last name. I picked up my designer bag, the one Amanda had mocked as a cute knockoff earlier, not recognizing the ultra-luxury brand that never advertises. You have until tomorrow morning to decide. James will handle the paperwork. James. Patricia looked at her nephew with newfound terror. He's in charge of everything, James smiled. Turns out all those years of watching Mom actually taught me how to run a company, not just brag about running one. As we walked to the door, I turned back one last time. Oh, and Michael, do pack warm clothes for Alaska. I hear the winters are particularly challenging for those who've never had to work for anything in their lives. The last thing we saw as we left was them frantically reading their contracts, their perfectly curated world crumbling around their organic turkey and premium wine. The following morning, from the comfort of our private jet somewhere over the Pacific, James and I watched the chaos unfold through our secure communications system. The press was having a field day with the revelation of Apex's mysterious CEO, but the real drama was playing out in our family group chat. Michael's accepted the Alaska position, James reported, scrolling through his messages. Though he's asking if he really has to start as a junior analyst. He does, I confirmed, reviewing the Tokyo presentation. Every entry-level employee starts there, family or not. My phone lit up with Amanda's name, her 15th call since last night. This time I answered on speaker. Sarah, her voice had lost all its usual condescension, about those interior design contracts. I can explain. The $200,000 ergonomic consultation for ordering standard office chairs? I pulled up her file on my laptop. Or the artistic direction fee for hanging pre-framed motivational posters. James tried to hide his smirk behind his coffee cup. I had expenses, she stammered. The country club membership, the summer house. All maintained through fraudulent company invoices, I finished. The audit team has a very detailed report. So, Amanda, which option are you choosing? The line went quiet except for what sounded suspiciously like sniffling. The entry-level position, she finally whispered. In the mailroom? Actually, I glanced at James, who nodded. We have an opening in basic facilities management. You seemed so interested in office decoration, now you can learn how an office actually functions. Starting with proper supply ordering procedures. Patricia's response came via her law firm's official letterhead, a lengthy document full of legal terminology that essentially boiled down to begging for option 2. Her firm, upon learning that their largest client was actually owned by the sister they'd mocked at every family gathering, had made her partnership offer mysteriously disappear. Should we tell her that her new position is in compliance? James asked, reviewing her file. Starting with organizing the paperclip inventory? Let HR handle it, I smiled. The real HR, not my old cover position. My mother's response was perhaps the most surprising. Instead of choosing either option, she'd sent a handwritten letter that had just been delivered to the plane. Sarah, 20 years ago when you said you were going to work in HR at that struggling tech company, I called it a waste of potential. I couldn't understand why my ambitious daughter would choose such a mediocre path. Now I understand that while we were all performing success, you were actually building it. Every holiday dinner where we belittled your job, every family photo where we pushed you to the back, every snide comment about your lack of progress, you were the CEO we were all trying to impress. I don't want a position in the company. I don't deserve one. What I want is a chance to get to know my daughter, the real one, not the image we foolishly dismissed. If you're willing. James watched me carefully as I read the letter. What are you thinking? I looked out the plane window at the sunrise, the same sunrise visible from our new Tokyo office, where hundreds of employees who'd earned their positions were already starting their day. Schedule a lunch, I decided. Not at her country club, at the small cafe next to my old HR office. Let's see if she's really ready to know the daughter she spent 20 years underestimating. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Apex Innovations reveals CEO identity. How Sarah Mitchell built a tech empire in plain sight. Below it was another message from Michael in Alaska. It's really cold here. And they're making me share an office with other junior analysts. Welcome to real work, I texted back. By the way, your performance review is next week. This time, you might want to prepare more thoroughly than just relying on the family name. James pulled up the company's live feed on his tablet. Every office worldwide was buzzing with the news, but the most interesting reactions were coming from our family members' first days in their new roles. Amanda was learning how to properly catalog office supplies, her designer outfit replaced by a standard staff uniform. Patricia was counting paper clips in the compliance department, her law degree providing no advantage in basic inventory management. And Michael was defrosting his car in the Alaskan morning, preparing for his first real day of actual work. You know, James mused, they're going to figure out eventually that I knew all along, that while they were mocking us at family dinners, I was actually being groomed to help run the company. Let them figure it out, I replied, signing off on the final documents for our Tokyo expansion. Some lessons are best learned through experience. Just like we learned one day at a time starting from the bottom. The plane began its descent into Tokyo, where a boardroom of executives waited to meet the CEO they'd known only by initial for 20 years. But more importantly, somewhere in various Apex offices, my family was finally learning the lesson I'd spent 2 decades teaching. Real success doesn't need to be performed. It needs to be earned. And sometimes, the best teacher is the person you never bothered to really see.